Hello, everybody. This is Crispy Cody from Crispy Reviews Podcast, and today I have a special guest with me. His name is Murray. Murray, wow. Murray, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me, Cody.
Yes, you just recently released a brand new album this past Friday. I'm very happy to have had such quick turnaround and talking with you and being able to pull you into a quick little interview. But you released a new album called More.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, it was just 3 days ago. It feels like I've been having this album in my dreams and my nightmares, and it just feels crazy to know that it's only been 3 days that it's actually out in the public. Because as an artist, you have this music swirling in your world for a long time, and then you finally put it out, and you're like, wait a minute. This is new to everybody else. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm very excited about the album. I'm very proud of it. I would describe it as a sort of like indie bedroom pop, electro pop album. And I'm
Yeah,
very proud of it. Yeah.
that's awesome. I was gonna ask you, so like, how would you describe your genre of music? And you kind of just summed it up there. It's indie bedroom pop. Uh, and you have a lot of influences though too. I know that through looking from your like Instagram and stuff, you've been very influenced by artists
Yeah.
such as like Kesha. I mean, you have a Brat poster behind you on your wall. So
I
yeah,
have
coming
some
off the
Charlie
heels of
records
Brat
too.
Summer.
I
There
have
you
some
go.
Charlie
Yep.
records too. Yeah, I'm a big
Yeah.
Charlie fan, as you
Me
can
too.
tell.
Me too. That's why that was another reason why I was just like, oh, I got to get this guy on here. He loves Charlie too, so that's really cool. Do you like Sophie as well? Sophie's really
Yeah.
influential as well. It was so
Yeah,
sad that she died.
I'm a huge Sophie fan. Truly like the loss of a generation.
Yeah.
And PC Music, like the label she was on in London,
Mhm.
alongside A.G. Cook, Danny L. Harl. That label is the reason I started making music. Um, they they inspired me a lot, and I think going back to your genre question, what I liked about them is they defied every genre. They just made music that they felt was right in the moment. They didn't think too hard about is will this fit in on SoundCloud. It was 2013, 2014, and they were just making cool music and putting it on SoundCloud. You know what I mean? They weren't
Yeah.
they weren't just clamoring to be similar to all the other music that was out there at that time. And that really struck me because as a music listener, I never really thought of genre as that helpful. Um, I I mean I love pop music, but I don't love pop music because it's pop. I love it because it feels universal to me. It's nice to listen to. And when I make music, I'm also listening for those same things. I'm not necessarily listening for a specific genre or aiming for a specific genre. Do you know what I mean? Um,
Of course.
so yeah, I think the music you create and the music is just a product of the music you listen to. Um,
It
and in
can
my
be.
case, it happened. Yeah, it can be. It can be.
Yeah.
It's like an input into your brain, and then an output is what comes out, right? Which is the music you create. And for
Yeah.
my case, that just happens to be a lot of pop music, a lot of electronic music.
Yes. Yeah. I also noticed that from your first record, Melt, you kind of use a lot of imagery of technology and whatnot. And when you're listening to your voice, you use a sense of like auto tune as well too, which I
Definitely.
really enjoy. It's got like you have a lower voice, which is interesting to listen to because when you're singing along, it's almost like you're talking, and I feel like I'm just absorbing what you're talking about, and it flows with this arcade style backbeat that's just flowing through, and I feel like I'm just flowing through whatever experience that you went through just in a second person or a player two. I'm player two right alongside you, like playing along this video game with you that you created in your own world. And it's really neat. I really like what you're doing with your records, and it's flowing from one to the next. From you had Melt into Magic, and then Magic into Monster, and then now you're on More, which it's just had this very interesting flow state. And you've been doing this for about 5 years now. So that's pretty neat, at least for your side project, as what you were saying before we got started, that you have other projects and whatnot that have led to this moment. So, and I think it's really
Definitely.
neat that this is where you are today. What are your thoughts on, your journey that you've gone so far?
Definitely. It's been a long journey. Um, I think what made me want to create music, I think, was PC music, as I said. But SoundCloud really at that time gave me the tools to do so and start making these quick records, putting them online for other people to listen to. And that really got me going, where I could like take acapellas from the internet, put them in FL Studio, make remixes, or maybe just come up with my own electronic compositions. Um, and at that time, this was around like 2013, 2014 ish. I was in high school, right?
Hmm.
And I'm just at home playing around with music. The way I entered music, from the way I entered electronic music was just through self-taught through the internet, right? Like, I mean, I had done piano, I had played trombone for a little bit, but my electronic music began with me just splicing stuff together and putting it on SoundCloud, you know. And I'm
Yeah.
really lucky that I was able to study music in college. I My degree was in computer science and music composition, um, and that really excited me because I was able to kind of incorporate coding and basically software development alongside my passion, which was making music. And in
Yeah.
college, I met so many other talented musicians, um, and meeting them is what opened me to the idea of songwriting, like writing songs with lyrics, with melodies, using songs as a vehicle to express oneself, right?
Yeah.
Um, like
It's
songwriting club
beautiful.
was huge for me. Yeah, songwriting club was huge for me. Um, we actually every year we did these songwriting club all nighters where we would have a prompt every hour from like Friday at 9 p.m. to Saturday at 5 a.m. and we'd write songs throughout the night. Like this, the theme might be write a song about your celebrity crush. And you have an hour to scramble, write a song, and then you present it to the group. And there's a new theme, and you go back and write a new song
Yeah.
and present it to the
No
group.
AI at the time, though.
No, yeah. And there's
Yeah.
no AI at the time. No AI to help you write
No.
songs. I mean, there
Yeah.
were tools you could use the internet, like you could Google like common chord progressions and maybe
Yeah.
use
Yeah.
that to help you.
Hmm.
But I really, I mean, because I had simple knowledge of playing the piano and keyboard, I could literally just play like a chord on my little keyboard and say, okay, maybe this chord and this chord. I'm no prolific piano player, but that's how I would basically
Yeah.
put chords together, and then I'd sing and voice memo out some melodies. Is what I would do at
There
that
you
time.
go.
Yeah,
That's a
so that
good
was my entry
workflow.
to it. Yeah, that
Okay.
was my entry to it, and I've been just trying to incorporate music, songwriting, and working with other artists since then.
Dang. So it sounds like for your music process, it was a little bit more away from the computer for a sense. You almost just
Yes.
used like was it an electronic keyboard or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you use
Yeah.
like an
Electronic
electronic
keyboard.
keyboard and you use your voice memos and a little bit of some Google to help with some chord progression theory or something at the time to help
Yeah.
push you along. And it's great to challenge oneself and others to this little
Hmm.
task that you guys did in college, which is amazing.
Definitely.
Adding all these things together, it's almost like layering a sandwich that you're about to enjoy the
Yeah.
next day. So, and that's part of the fun. So it sounds like it was a really cool experience, and it really developed you into what you like to do today. So that's
Definitely.
pretty
Yeah. And
neat.
I still use that same process.
Yeah.
I, at that time, I created a workflow for how to make a song. Like in my brain, I have a list of things I need to do. Like first, I need to choose some chords. Then I need to write some melodies or maybe pull from my voice memos and pull some melodies that I like. And then after that is all done, I organize it into like an A B song structure, ABC, a verse
Mm,
chorus song structure, something like that. And that's like how the workflow that I use to create a song, right? And all
beautiful.
that happens before I even get into like the computer and producing things. It's all something that you could accomplish on paper, right? And I think
Hmm.
advice I would have for anyone who's never written a song before, who maybe like wants to try writing songs, is just come up with a workflow. for me, that workflow is chords, and then coming up with melodies, and then piecing a song structure together, and then writing lyrics, and you have a song. It's really that simple. You just come up with a workflow
Yeah.
and apply it to create a song.
What? Yeah, for what you're wanting to do, and that's
Exactly. Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah.
Exactly.
And I like how all of that correlates together for, what you're absorbing like in your source material along with the experiences that you've had throughout, your college and
Mm-hmm.
into, polishing your album. So that's pretty neat. Is there other instruments or other things that you utilize in your workflow? Because your sounds that you have are very arcade like. Is
Yep.
there any influences from video games or um, other aspects in that nature that
Oh yeah, I'm a
correlate
huge
to
gamer.
your music? Okay, so what are some video
Yeah.
games that like inspired you for like your music?
Oh, the Nintendo games really do inspire me musically. Like Koji Kondo for Nintendo, he's a genius. Like all the stuff he did for Zelda is genius. But more from like a melodic standpoint, not really from a sound, like not really like a timbre standpoint, like the kinds of sounds he used. I mean, I guess it was executed really well in the sounds that you could have on the Nintendo 64, but his melodies are just really like prolific in like Ocarina of Time, especially. And I think many people agree with that.
Oh yeah,
And yeah, so I think melodically, definitely Koji Kondo. Um, and yeah, the aesthetics of video games, like I do pull from like the timbral aesthetic of like the Sonic video games. Like I love
yeah,
like that 16-bit era of just those kinds of instruments, those crunchy drums, crunchy synthesizers. I think that is a very fun era. That was a nostalgic era for me. Like I would emulate as a kid, I would emulate Sonic on my computer and like play Sonic and Knuckles, all those games on my computer, so it hits very close to home. I've heard
yeah,
people describe like my music as having like a playbox aesthetic. Um, I guess that's kind of true, but for me, it's just using stuff that I think is cool and electronic and sounds futuristic to me, and is also expressive and colorful. That's what I like. But yeah, I'm a huge gamer, definitely. So
yes,
wherever I can pull influence from is a good thing.
yeah. So that's kind of what I was getting from when I was listening to
Yeah,
not only just more, but to your back catalog as well, because there's more or less this cohesive theme that just kind of plays out across the four albums. And
yeah,
in your fourth album, I feel like it's only just that uptick that it kind of needs that gets that attention that you're looking for, especially on the track Romeo. When I listen to Romeo, like you have a feature on there, somebody named Juliet on there as well. But that track, just like how it flows and how the song composure works, and it really does remind me of kind of like listening to a Sonic video game track or something. Or I don't know if Owl City is another artist that influenced you as well, and I got that
yeah,
vibe from that track, and I was like, wow, this sounds a lot like that 2013 pop that was kind of
yeah.
happening at that time, and I kind of miss it, and it gave me some nostalgia, and I was very excited when you said that you wanted to sit down and talk about the record. So for
Oh,
you
awesome.
on
Yeah.
more and everything, like what what was like some of the things that were different for this record that you brought to the table than from your prior records?
I think what's different about this record is I'm kind of confident this time around. I think like there was a gap between Monster and More of like 2 years, and
Hmm.
I tend to release albums at the beginning of the year, so maybe it doesn't look that way, but there was like a full 2 year gap there, and I went through a lot of life changes in the past 2 years, and I just feel so much more confident now in my singing ability and my artistic ability. And I think you can hear that in like
Yes.
the growth over time, like the confidence. And part of that
Yeah.
is because I joined a choir. I sing with the Gay Men's Choir of Washington D.C. So like my vocal confidence has become a lot stronger
Hmm.
in the past couple years, and I don't know. I've just become a little bit more comfortable with myself, and I've had certain life experiences that have made me realize, okay, I need to step up. I need to be more comfortable with myself. And now that I'm a better singer, I can do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think the real big difference with more is the confidence that I think is audible. Honestly, I and at least in terms of vocal confidence, I think there are certain things I have been confident about, like writing songs and production. I've definitely been confident in my production ability for a long time, but putting myself in the forefront has been kind of a sticky point for me because I felt like, okay, people have told me in the past that, okay, I'm good at producing and I'm good at giving them songwriting advice, but then I've also heard people didn't like my low voice. So they thought my low voice was weird. So I kind of had that embedded in the back of my mind. And singing in a choir and just coming face to face with the fact that, wait, I can perform. This is something I can do. I can use my musical knowledge and I can take vocal lessons and I can actually express myself fully and completely. I can write songs and then perform them. I don't have to write songs and give them away. I don't have to produce music and give it away. I can also do this for me and express myself in a cathartic way and tell stories about my life too in a very authentic way. So that's sort
Yeah.
of the realization that I think you can hear in this latest record.
I would say your newfound confidence really shines through on this record. And I'm glad that you're no longer listening to that voice in the back of your head saying that your lower voice is weird, because I honestly did not mind it at all. I think it's different. Yeah. Like it might be a little odd at first if you're not used to listening to that type of range of a voice. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I like that it's different, honestly, because that's what makes Murray wow, like that's your trademark, so you got to stick with it and keep that a part of you, and it will, because it's you and only you. It's authentic to you, so keep up with
Definitely.
that. And that's great. I'm glad that you kick that voice from your head, and that's all that matters.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I think one other deep voice in music that has inspired me to kind of own my voice is the Magnetic Fields. I don't know if you're aware of
Ooh,
the Magnetic
yes, yes,
Fields,
yes, yes,
but
I am.
they, yeah, band from the 90s,
Yep.
legendary album 69 Love Songs. I recently
Yep.
saw them here in DC for their
Ooh,
69
nice.
Love Songs reunion tour. And I just realized, wait a minute, I love this band so much. I love their songs. And Stephen Merritt, he has this really amazing low voice. And I actually, listening to his music, I can tell he gives away his songs sometimes to other vocalists because maybe he feel like, oh, I don't have the range, or this might be better for a higher vocalist. But when I listen to his discography and that band's discography, I can tell when he's singing something that he's super passionate about, and I can tell that when he is singing a word that he wrote, it just means something completely different to him personally. And that kind of gave me a light bulb moment. Was, wait a minute, like he is expressing himself so authentically when he sings how he needs to sing and how he's able to sing.
Yeah. And that's wonderful that you're able to find somebody else that you feel connected to, which gives you
Right.
the confidence that you need to support you for your, next endeavors and stuff. And
Definitely.
so on and so forth for however long you want to do this. So, and honestly, circling back to wow, or excuse me, more
Yeah.
on the record, what are some of the tracks that stuck out to you? Like which ones were you more passionate about making for that record?
Yeah, this is tricky because it always ends up where my favorite songs aren't necessarily other people's favorite songs. Like we all have our favorite little babies, and other people have their little favorite babies. And I'm like, really, that's your favorite one? What about this one? And they're like, nah,
Yeah,
I don't really like that song that much. But I have my favorites. I really like this song "Psych" I wrote. I'm really proud of
I
that
like that
song.
one the most, actually. That's pretty
Oh,
good.
really? Okay, I guess we're in
Yeah.
agreement. I guess we're in agreement. But I'm proud of that song because. Um, what that song is about, it's about this movie I saw. Um, I saw the TV Glow. I don't remember the
Oh,
director's name. Oh, I
great
think,
movie.
yeah, great movie. I don't
Alex
remember the
Alex
director.
G. He does the music for that,
Yep,
doesn't he? I love Alex
yeah,
G.
he does the music for that movie. I don't
Yeah.
remember the director's name, but she creates this beautiful like movie. It's like a PG-13 coming of age horror movie.
Hmm.
It's this movie that is filled with such dread, and watching it, you feel like this pit in your stomach, like something is totally wrong. And coming out of that movie, I felt like, wow, that is some like the most existential dread I've ever felt in my life. Like watching that movie and seeing this person's story, and the movie, I don't want to spoil it, but it's basically about someone who feels like this reality might not be the real reality. Like, what if this world isn't the real world, right? And so that really haunted me coming out of that movie. And so the
Yeah.
song "Psych" is kind of about that feeling. It's about this
It's,
existential dread that we have of just being alive. And
it sounds almost like
yeah,
it's imposter syndrome, where you're just kind of
yeah,
like, am I really living this moment right now, or
yes,
is it prefabricated? Yeah.
yeah. Is it dissociative? Is it prefabricated? Are we living in a simulation?
Yep.
All that stuff, all those feelings. And yeah, that song, I needed to capture that feeling because it was such a strong feeling. I really felt like I needed to let it out um, in a song. So that kind of song tells a story about someone who is feeling that way. And I'm proud of the lyrics. I'm also proud of the melodies. I think the melodies go interesting places in that song. So I think that's my favorite on on the record. But there are lots of little moments that I'm fond of.
Yeah, I would definitely say in Psych, it like you were saying, the melodies and how the music flows through it, it really keeps you attached and engaged the entire time. And I love like when you come through with the Psych and it's like really nice and loud and prevalent. It's a very great track. Like, and I did not know that that's the references that you were referencing to is to I Saw the TV Glow, which is a really great movie. Again, composed by Alex G, which is an awesome artist. He's a really great guy. I got to meet him once and talk to him. He was super
Oh, wow,
nice.
that's
Yeah,
amazing. Wow.
yeah. But circling back, you've met so many artists as well. Charlie XCX, you got to meet her at least a few times, it looks like. Is that true?
I did. Yeah, I've always been a huge fan of hers.
Yeah.
Um, I discovered her on Spotify probably right around when True Romance came out in like 2013, 2014.
It's
I was a huge,
2013.
yeah,
Yeah.
2013.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I was a huge fan around that time. I was like ears to the ground listening for new Charlie XCX music. I was super excited when Fancy came out, when I Love It was going viral. I've always been a huge fan of her. I saw her. I went to her her album listening party for Sucker in San Francisco because I grew up in the Bay Area. So I was really
Hmm.
lucky to be able to go to her like album release party for Sucker. It was one of my favorite music events I've ever been to. She passed out free candy to everybody. It was a free show, and she
Wow.
literally popped out of a cake that said Sucker on it, and she's in this spandex outfit and then hops on stage and just starts performing her album to
Wow.
everybody at this free little intimate show in San Francisco. It was awesome.
Where was
So
that in
yeah,
San Fran? Was that at Amoeba Records or was it somewhere
it,
else?
it was not. It was at this. I don't think it's a real venue. It was like at a transformed space that was turned into a venue on the fly. Like it could have, might as well have been of a warehouse that they plopped a stage in it, right?
Okay.
I don't. It's like not the Warfield or anything, any like those iconic San Francisco
Yeah.
venues. Um, and so yeah, I've seen her a bunch of times, and of course, like any little fan, you get there early and you take a little selfie and you I don't know. Like I've been a little angel of hers, one of Charlie's angels for a long time. She has inspired me, and other pop artists too. But I think nowadays I'm just too old to be going to concerts super early and trying to meet and talk to the artists. I'm just too old for that. Like I have other things I need to be doing, and I can't be standing that long. Like my back's gonna hurt if I have to stand that long these days. So, so
Yeah.
I think those days of me going and meeting artists might be behind me.
Okay. That's pretty awesome that you got to be subjected to that experience. And I didn't know that you're from San Fran, so that's pretty cool that you grew up in that area there. So that's pretty awesome. But I was actually going to ask you this question: have you ever toured or done live music? I know I've seen some posts where you've played live, but are you planning to do more live in 2025?
And currently in progress, currently working on that. I'll get back to you guys soon. But yeah, I do like performing live. I do enjoy it. I have done it in the past. Um, Honestly, I think one of my proudest achievements is doing Battle of the Bands at Northeastern University. Like at my college, just owning the fact that I am one of the bands that is battling for for this college, right? I didn't win. I didn't win Battle of the Bands Northeastern University, but I'm just proud of the fact that I competed.
Yeah,
Um, and I think my music is interesting when it comes to performances. There's a lot I could choose to do. Like I could play the keyboard. I have a guitar that I can play.
nice.
I I have a guitar, but I cannot play the guitar to save my life. Um, I could just auto tune my vocals, or I could even just DJ if I wanted to. Like I've DJed in the
There you go.
past. I've done that
Yeah.
before. There's lots of options. Currently in progress in terms
There you
of
go.
live performances in 2025. So stay tuned.
All right, we'll stay tuned to that. I think it'd be great to maybe put a little bit of traveling in and do some groundwork for yourself. Even if it is DJing and stuff. I know. Are you a fan of vaporwave, the genre of vaporwave?
A little bit, yeah. I've heard it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
would
like
say
it.
some of your songs are kind of vaporwave esque with how
Oh,
you
really?
use your auto tune and stuff. I would definitely recommend checking out some vaporwave artists. The one that I think that you're most similar to is one called Skylar Spence. I don't know if you've ever heard of him before. Have
Yeah, I
you?
do. I do like Skylar
Okay.
Spence.
He
Yeah,
has that pop appeal, and I feel like
and he uses his
your
own
voice.
vocals too.
He
Yeah,
does, yeah. So I feel like both of you guys have very similar kind of voices and choices
definitely.
in how you present your music too. Especially like his later work or some of the last few singles he put out. I don't know what he's doing anymore today. He hasn't really done much with music. But
Hmm.
Carousel, I feel like that song, you
I like
know,
that song. I've heard this song. Yeah,
yeah, okay, there you go. So
yeah,
Carousel is a
absolutely.
great track. I love that track a lot. And when I was listening to like Psych and Romeo, I got those kind of vibes from more that you have vaporwave appeal almost. So if you did some DJing,
Interesting.
maybe you could dabble in that a little bit and just mess around. You never know. Is there any other genres or instruments or challenges that you're wanting to challenge yourself with in the future?
I want to challenge myself with acoustic music. I think I
Acoustic.
just bought a
So going
guitar,
analog.
going analog. Yeah,
Yeah.
I because what I'm seeing right now is I'm seeing a lot of AI music, which I don't think is necessarily bad. Like I'm seeing AI vocals and kind of using AI to help you write songs, which I don't think is a bad thing. I think it's cool that we have these tools now to help us express ourselves. Um, but it's kind of giving this like homogenous sound to electronic music in the year 2024, 2025.
Hmm.
So another artist I've listened to a lot recently is Elliott Smith, and I thought, wow, like this is good songwriting, this is good music, and this is
Yes.
music that I don't really have the tools to create right now. Like I could hire a session guitarist and
You
have
could.
them play chords that I write. But I want to try going in an analog direction soon. And I just put out an album, so I feel like I have time to experiment a
Yeah,
little bit in that direction.
of course. And like you were saying beforehand, you've been sitting on this album for a while and listening to it over and over and over again. And again, it's just our first time hearing it, as you mentioned. So,
Definitely.
it gives you time now to think about what you're going to do next. So I think that's very exciting that you're pulling elements from like Elliott Smith, and those are all really great artists to pull from. And if you're considering to do more live things,
Yeah.
there's so many different avenues on what you can do for live. You can either use Twitch and do like live streams and DJ live,
Mm.
or you could go and do just coffee shop performances, or you could
Yeah.
do like nightclub performances. So it's
Yes.
up to you. You're the artist, right? So you got to wow
And
us
that's
here.
wow. Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's the good thing about being like an indie artist. There's not much pressure on you. You own all your music, so you don't. No one's telling you to go in a certain direction. Like, you have your budget and you make your music, and then you can decide if you want to change course or not. I've just felt really freed by that recently. I used to feel restricted by it, but then I realized, wait, like I can build a budget. I can release whatever kind of music I want to. I can work hard to promote it, or I can move on and work on something else. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um, that's something that's freeing about being indie.
that's true. Because you are your own label. That's what it says underneath. It says Murray Wow at the
Yeah,
bottom. I'm like, okay, that's cool that you're
exactly.
you're your own label and you just distribute as you could please. So yeah, maybe if you're trying to do more analog, you could start doing. Have you ever sold physical media before or merchandise?
I have it. I mean, I've sold stickers. Does do stickers count as physical media? Like
Yeah, it
stickers that say
counts.
Murray Wow.
That's
Okay,
cool.
that's what I've
Yeah,
sold.
you could put QR codes on them too. That link to your
That's a good
your
idea.
record. So that's a good idea.
That
Yeah.
is a really good idea. But no,
Yeah.
it's been mostly about the records for me. I just want the records out. I want people to listen to it. I don't need to necessarily need to sell you something right now. At least that's not where my
Yeah.
priority is right now. I'm all about not only getting people to listen to maybe how I express myself, but also helping people understand that you can express yourself in this way too. Like you can be vulnerable, you can put yourself out there, you can tell these difficult stories that you might be ashamed of, or that you might feel like it's hard to share with the world, or hard to admit that you have these feelings. Like you can do that, and people might connect with it, and they might enjoy it, and you might feel this catharsis from letting it out into the world. And that's a message I want to give out too. Just like other people, I'm a regular person, right? Like other regular people can do this too if they want to.
Yeah. And it's unlike ever before too, because the tools are all
Yeah,
at our fingertips, just right here. You just use the
definitely.
search bar. You can look up anything and make anything happen. And like we were saying, I'm very curious to pick your brain on this. I'll probably make this one of my last few questions here, but what are your like final thoughts on like AI? I know that we've kind of like talked about it here and there, but what are your direct thoughts as to AI, and do you view it more as like a tool, or do you view it more as like this self-destructive machine that's going to destroy art or something? I know a lot of people they view it kind of like that.
I think, I mean, the potential is it's both, right? The potential is there. I have right now. I don't have any faith in our government to restrict it to the point where we could realistically prevent it from exploding. So,
Here,
with that in
here.
mind, with that in mind, it's part of us. It will be part of us, and it may surpass us, right? And at that point, it's kind of like it's here. The cat's out of the bag, right? Um, and I have two pet spiders behind me, right?
Mhm.
So in a way, like the spider is the human, and I'm the AI. Like I'm treating the spiders well. Maybe like AI is going to treat us well when it's taking over the world, and it chooses where all the resources are going and decides to prioritize all the resources for itself. Maybe that's going to happen. I mean, I like these little guys back here behind me. Maybe that's
Yeah,
how AI will feel about us. I think that could be an outcome. Maybe they might
yeah.
eliminate us. I don't really know. But in terms of AI right now,
For
um,
music
it
purposes, yeah,
for music purposes, it's
yeah.
a useful tool. Um, you can do. I mean, I feel like we all use AI when we Google stuff.
Correct, yeah,
All these technology companies use principles that were discovered in data science to get us things that we want. Like this interview right now on digital was created with the help of work that's been done in data science, right?
yep.
So I think this is a tool, and I think there are risks, right? But I think the solution to the risks is more technology. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think
Okay.
what is a little bit disappointing is I don't know, like when people assume that we can't tell that they use AI. Like like they like present it as something that they created. When I'm like, we can tell you use AI, just own it. You know, I want you to own the fact that you use this to help your workflow. Don't present it as if you painted this picture yourself. Maybe figure out a new way to present it. You know, I mean, I don't know. Like
Yeah.
I think if you're going to use this as a tool, and you can uh, own it, and then figure out how you can take it even one step further. Because AI has plateaued in some ways. Like the text ChatGPT stuff has plateaued right now, and right now we're seeing a growth in like image generation and especially video generation. But that's going to plateau at a certain point where videos are going to get as good as they're going to get for a while. I don't know what the next
Yeah.
frontier is, but what we can do is we can work to use this technology in interesting ways that people haven't seen before, and maybe you can use it in ways that helps you express yourself even more. Like if I can find the perfect AI algorithm that can find people that would love my music, I would use it. Like that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And we kind of do that with like Instagram ads and Spotify ads and whatnot.
Yeah. Of
It
course.
could be a little bit better, but you know what I'm saying? Like we can use this technology to uplift the human parts of ourselves.
Yes. I think that's a really great long answer that you gave. I'm still trying to process everything that you said. Um,
Long-winded answer.
yeah, it was a long-winded answer, but I think I understand what you're saying. As long as we're planning to use it as a tool to enhance what we're trying to make or create, and it's in the likeness and image of what we're wanting to develop, and that's what helps us get us to the end goal quicker, then sure, I think it's exceptional to use it and own it. Like if you're going to use it, let people know, own it, like
Yeah,
just give it
exactly.
up. Just give it up. Like, drop the gun. That's it. It's over. That's it.
Technology is
It's out
cool.
there.
Technology is awesome. It's science
Yeah.
fiction. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Like let's
Like
appreciate the technology.
we are like the first humans in history to live in this time period where this is all happening, and it's really insane to think about it like that. Like we have infinite
Yeah.
content kind of right here right now at our fingertips, and it's just creating all these different algorithms, and it's all about how you use the technology to either help you or it could destroy you, and however you view it is how you're going to get out of it, or what you're going to get out of it, I should say. um, yeah, kind of like what you were saying earlier, how you absorb and then put out what you absorb, right?
Yeah.
That's the same thing with what AI is basically doing. So if we're
It's machine
giving it
learning.
a
Yeah.
bunch, yeah, it's machine learning what we are giving it. So if we're giving it a bunch of crap and we're freaking out about it, then of course it's going to be weird and sound awful and all these things, right? And people are going to be fearful of it because we pump the fear into it. So it's all about the art, though, at the end of the day, for at least music sense. And, like you were saying, imagery and images. And that really has advanced a lot recently. I know that, what's his name? The artist Panda Bear. I don't know if you're aware of him or know of him. He's an indie artist. He just released a new single today, and he uses AI art imagery, and it's like the old AI where it shows
Oh.
like people's faces, and then they're like morphing
Oh
into
boy.
each
Yeah.
other and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just like, whoa! And everybody is like freaking out in the comments section, saying like, "Why are you using AI? This isn't creative. This isn't wonderful." And I'm like, actually, I stand with this and say it's cool because it's different, right? We have improved technology now that makes it look more realistic and lifelike. This old AI that we were using for imaging and making these videos was weird. It was different. It was what it was. And it's crazy that it even does what it does. It's just ones and zeros that are configuring into an image. Like
Mhm.
that's insane to really think about on the grand scheme of
Wow,
things.
he was using it. He was using AI to be vintage. That's crazy. That now
Basically,
AI
yeah.
is old enough to be vintage and to be of a
Yeah,
past era. That's funny.
right. And it's not even that long ago. It was only like what, 5 years ago? Like
Yeah,
five,
probably 5 or 6 years.
three. Yeah, here we are. It's 2025. So time marches on, and we just get to benefit from the developments that occur. So that's awesome.
Woo.
All right. Um, I think the last one I just had was the inspiration behind your album cover, like the art itself, like how you're pulling the O. I love that. That is so cool looking. Like how you're doing. I'm pretty sure it's just Photoshop and stuff, right? But it just looks so neat in the video that you did too with the. It's like it makes it look really wet and moist and stuff. I was like, this
Yeah.
is really the sensory, like just looking at that image, the sensory sensation that I was feeling while looking at that image. I was like, do I feel wet? Do I feel sticky? Do I feel moist? Like I don't know how to feel looking at this. Is it taffy? Is it candy? Is it putty? Is it Play-Doh? I was just all these senses were coming to me, and then like imagining the smell as well. I'm like, does it smell good? Because it looks kind of like a
It does.
candy or a cupcake or something. So I'm like,
Yeah, so that I think there's a lot you could interpret from the album cover. And it's like vague and weird for a reason because I think that is kind of it's up for interpretation. But the way I interpret it is like this is how I make music. I use a synthetic material and kind of shape it, right? Like I use synthetic materials in this case, synthesizers, to shape this music. Um,
I love that
and give
so
it a
much.
life of its own. Give it a life of its own.
Yeah,
That's how I interpret it. And that cover is like the combination of some talented work by a photographer named Jolene Carter. She's a DC based photographer. She's amazing. And then also the designer Pixel Mozart. He's a really talented designer in Brazil, and he's the one who photoshopped the letters on top of the slime photo. Um, he really has an amazing vision when it comes to like the composition of a photo and how to make a good album cover. I always go to him when I need help with an album cover. But yeah, that's how I would interpret the album cover, just in terms of me using synthetic materials to express myself. And even behind the slide, you see I'm like smiling and having a good time. That's how I felt making this music. That's like honestly how I felt writing these songs and having a good time, having fun, just playing with slime.
yeah, and I think that's a beautiful cliff note to finish things out. Like that's it's what's the point in making music if you're not having fun, right? And
Definitely.
part of the fun is self discovery, which is a lot of what you've been doing over the past 2 years before this record came out. And it really shows when you listen between Monster and More. Um, it's very awesome, dude. Like I think it's definitely a record that people need to know and listen. So I'm very thankful that you were able to join us today, Murray. So thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much. Thank you so
Yeah,
much for having me, Cody. This
yeah.
was awesome.
Yes, let's stay in touch and everything too. I think I definitely want to see if you're going to do a tour. I'll definitely promote it and whatnot as well. So, especially if it's on like a stream, you should definitely look into like doing streams and stuff too. I think that would be great.
Okay, I have some work to do.
Yeah, use some of that AI.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see what I
Pull
can do.
some of that.
Okay.
Before I forget though, I did want to make like one last notice or whatever, but I didn't know if you knew or not, but the last four albums that you have made have all start with the letter M. Is there a reason behind that? Or did you
I
just
don't know.
not?
There might be a
Yeah.
pattern there. Maybe.
Oh. Is there?
I think there is a pattern.
Okay.
There is a pattern.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, everything starts with the letter M. I was like, Melt, Magic, Monster, More. I'm like, okay, so the next album will
Murray.
probably be something. Yeah, well, Murray.
Maybe I'll call
New.
it. Should I call it music? Music. Wait, that's. I mean, I can't leak this. Music is
Oh,
such a good name.
we'll get the scoop.
It's not gonna be music. It's not gonna be music. I don't know. We'll have to come up with some more album names. We'll see. Need to get in my notes app and brainstorm. Who knows what the future will hold?
It's within your hands, Murray. You got to wow us.
I'll do my best.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for joining us today, Mr. Murray Wow. And, do all those things like, comment, share, follow Crispy Reviews Podcast for more interviews and everything to come. So Thank you again, Mr. Ray, for joining on the podcast. And that's do it for us today. So, ciao.